Hi, I'm Helen Aguirre, and I'm standing in front of the beautiful, historic Biltmore Hotel here in Coral Gables, Florida. Every year, thousands of tourists come here for sun and fun, but a lot of political movers and shakers come here as well. This is the place where a person who's very important in the Republican Party and the conservative movement has his office. I'm speaking of Florida former Governor Jeb Bush. Governor Bush has let us come visit him today to talk to him about the Republican primary campaign, talk about the presidential race, Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, who wins, who loses, and many more things important to all of us who love and care about this country. Come and join me as we join Governor Bush. Governor Jeb Bush, thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure speaking to you, sir.
Happy to be here.
How would you assess the strengths and weaknesses of President Barack Obama and Governor Mitt Romney?
Well, I'll tell you what his challenge is. His challenge is that he has to connect with people on a personal level. I have some personal experience in this, Helen. When I ran for governor in 1994, I lost, and actually Mitt Romney and I were the only two Republicans that did lose that year. And I concluded I lost because I didn't connect with people on a more emotional, personal level, and it's important. You can't skip over that part.
Can you do that without being yourself?
Well, you can't. That's the problem. I think there's a lot of advice for Mitt to be something that he's not, and I think he needs to genuinely be who he is. But in that process, he has to explain to people, you know, what's in his heart. How does that relate to them? It's not an easy thing to do because it's not you can't, PowerPoint presentation won't yield a result. This is something that is deeper than that, and I think his modesty is actually a virtue, to be modest and to be humble and not to brag and not to kind of say why you're doing things. Creates a little bit of a barrier for him, but I think he needs to do that, and then I think he needs to lay out a bigger economic agenda. It can't be, the president's campaign is going to be, it could be worse, which is a depressing thought of about $500 million being spent on that kind of message. And the Romney message can't be, you have failed. I mean, if we're just hearing this, the big structural problems of our country won't be solved. The election won't lead us to a path of beginning to solve these problems. I think Governor Romney may not win. I think he wins if he points out where the president his policies may not have worked, but to create a compelling alternative that gives people some hope. So those two things puts him in good stead.
If I may, one of the main points that really stands out of the Republican primary campaign was Herman Cain's 999 message. Regardless of the merits of the argument, it's a simple message that stuck.
Right. I'm not into, I'm not big on 999 if it meant nothing. The power of 999 is not, well, it was delivered in an interesting way. It was delivered joyfully, which I think is important in politics. But the power of it is shifting power from Washington into the hands of people again. It's a very American solution to the mess we're in. Its power was its simplicity, but it's also a very effective policy. Simplifying the tax code, freeing up people from having to pay accountants and lawyers and lobbyists to be able to move forward is a good idea. And so some version of tax simplification, but I think for Governor Romney, his strength is his business career. He should not be ashamed of it. He's had a stellar record. And I think he can talk coherently about high economic growth over a sustained period of time and how important that is to lessen people's fears and to restore optimism in our country. So a broader, bigger, bolder plan, not a 56-point plan, but 4 big ideas that could restore American greatness, I think is going to be his strategy. And I hope it is. And I think if it is, and he delivers it effectively, it will draw people towards his cause.
Polls show that Barack Obama and Mitt Romney are in a statistical dead heat. Given that there's maybe 6 or 8% of the electorate that is undecided, considering there is so much time for the election, what does this tell us of where the nation is today?
Well, we're a divided country, that's for sure. I think it also says that if you look at these poll numbers, they ebb and flow pretty quick. People are not completely tied to one candidate or not. There'll be a lot of ebbing and flowing between now and November, which is why these bigger messages, I think, are important. Governor Romney has to maintain an intense support amongst conservatives while garnering independents. Barack Obama has to do the other, has to achieve the same results starting from the left and trying to attract to the middle. I think the Romney case is a more compelling one, to be honest with you, and one with greater potential.
Governor Mitt Romney really struggled to capture or convince Republican primary voters that he's really conservative enough. What does it mean to be a conservative in the Republican Party today?
Well, that's work in progress. It's not, it's always evolving. And I think the campaigns and how they're run help shape that. My personal belief is that conservatism needs to be about limited government and aspirational messages, not growling and scolding, but a message of what the lush green valley on the other side of that rocky climb is. That's what unifies all of the hyphenated forms of conservative thinking. Just as the country's divided, conservatives are divided in a lot of ways, the emphasis that they believe is important. And so a broader economic message is, I think, essential. We have structural problems in our country that have nothing to do with who the current occupant in the White House is. That's hard for conservatives to believe, but it's true. Our healthcare system was the most costly in the world before Barack Obama got in. He made it worse. Our education system is flawed to its core, and that's not the president's responsibility. Our tax code is so complicated. Now, the president's made it more so, but it still is an incredible complication that creates competitive disadvantages. Our job training programs didn't work before Barack Obama got there. So to me, conservatives need to say, a great country needs to fix the things that have to work to build capacity for us to be successful. And conservatives are the ones to be able to offer that. And yes, you can point out where President Obama has failed because there's a long list. But I think stopping there and just saying that this is about him is flawed. It's not going to work. And even if it did, it's not winning with purpose. We need to fix the things we have that are broken. And you can't do it just by pointing, casting aspersions on the other side.